Welcome to Flowers and Tea, where the ladies lead the conversation on politics, pot, and policy. I'm Dr. Beast, and I'm here with my ladies, and we are at Holistic Solutions in Atco, New Jersey, with the first Black woman dispensary owner in all of New Jersey, my dog, Suzanne. Thank you for having us.
That's right. Thank you for being here. Warm wishes and welcome, and thank you for safe travels. We are in a historic moment in Waterford, Atco. We have our first female mayor. Congratulations to Mayor Stephanie Jones Freitag. And Gretchen, she is a Republican.
Woo, love a Republican.
And shout out to Deputy Mayor Andy Wade, who is a great businessman and a great business leader, and just so happy to have everyone here today. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for opening up your space. And as you all know, we always film in women-owned spaces. So how could we have flowers and tea and not go to the spot of one of our ladies, all right? And speaking of our ladies, before we continue on, we do want to say farewell and congratulations to Miss Jasmine Johnson, who you all know announced she's having a baby. 2 babies. So of course she can't be hopping on no planes to come to Jersey as often as she would have liked. So sadly we no longer will have Jasmine, but we wish her the best on her new chapter and best of health with all of her babies.
Absolutely. As a fellow twin mom, I have a lot of good knowledge and just wishing you well wishes. Can't wait to see those healthy babies.
And we're back at the table in a new year. And we have a lot of news, like some confusing stuff that was going on LinkedIn. Gretchen, get your people. They confused out here.
No one's confused.
Very confused.
I wouldn't call it confusing. I would call it more unprecedented. And so people are trying to figure out what is the path forward, especially when it comes to rescheduling. So for those who may have been under a rock or, still sleeping from the holidays, a good old President Trump decided on December 18th to sign an executive order, which instructed the DOJ to move expeditiously, whatever that means, to move cannabis to Schedule 3.
Okay.
So, in theory, what we should see moving forward is Pam Bondi, and this also, disclaimer, not an attorney. My brother is, not me. I'm telling you my understanding of how this process should work. Take it or leave it. She would put forward a final rule, which would basically say this is what Schedule 3 is, yada, yada. And then from there would be a 30-day comment period. And then if unicorns and sunshine happen, then you get Schedule 3 passing. Now, what will most likely happen is when she puts the final rule forward, you're going to see lawsuits galore, and that is going to gum up the process. Now, the tricky part with these lawsuits is, say someone like Smart Approaches for Marijuana, Sam, everyone's favorite. They will come out. They have already said that they've retained former Attorney General William Barr to represent them. He's a very good attorney. We'll see how this goes. But he has a very high bar to get across. He has to prove that moving cannabis to Schedule 3 would be detrimental, will hurt people, is a bad thing to do. And when we look at that, we've had 2 administrations on both sides of the aisle, the Biden and the Trump administration, both saying we should have cannabis at Schedule 3.
Right.
I think it's going to be difficult for them to make that argument to a judge that they should be holding off. In my world of predictions, and I'm always right because I predicted this.
You did.
She did. She was reading tea leaves. She was.
My hope will be that this will be all worked out and we will have Schedule 3 by the end of Q1. That's my prediction. I don't think it'll be months.
Q1.
And yeah,
Wow.
March.
Yeah.
That's quite a prediction.
I'm going for it. What the hell?
That's a bold prediction. I like it, though.
Well, it's the year of the horse, so let's come in.
Yes,
Try that.
Let's go for it. I think it's a possibility because I don't think it'll take a judge long to start going through the process.
Right.
Because they're kind of picking up where the ALJ left off, and so in theory it won't be that
people who are going to
rough.
file these frivolous lawsuits that don't have any standing. Will that continue to get
Absolutely.
easily dismissed?
I don't know if I would say easily dismissed, but yeah, I think if you don't have standing, then you can't move forward with these types of things. So I don't think it'll take a judge long. You won't see a judge looking at someone and being like, all right, this is going to take me 6 months to review this.
Wonderful.
They can decide whether pretty quickly up front if someone has standing or not, even to bring the case. And if they do, then there would be a stay in place, and to get the stay is quite difficult. If they get the stay, then my prediction will be 5 years. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a while if there's a stay that goes into place.
Give some context to all of these definitions. So first, who's Pam Bondi? 2, what's a stay? We got to give the audience clarity.
I love that. Who's Pam Bondi?
All right. Pam Bondi is the current U.S. Attorney General. She runs the DOJ. And so because President Trump could not officially just move Schedule 3 forward on his own, he has to then order the Attorney General to do it, because there's a whole process. There's the ALJ hearing, and you have to go through all this stuff. Or there was this one provision which says basically if you have extenuating circumstances and a lot of stuff going on, the AG could do it themselves. And so pretty much that is what Trump has said to do, is go ahead, go to final rule. I really, in my heart of hearts, believe that no one is going to mess with Donald Trump on this.
Not even the DEA, who has been a thorn in everyone's side for the last 30 years. I mean, they are a movable force.
I mean, do they want to get shipped off to Honduras? I mean, you don't know with this whole administration.
That could be the rate that we're going in this country. You are right, Gretchen.
I'm just saying, you cross the Donald at your peril.
Listen, I'm Puerto Rican.
Listen.
It's part of the United States.
Say that.
I'm a first-time citizen. Happy.
Again, when it comes to judges, the fact that Biden wanted this, that Trump wants this, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to be able to make the argument to say, no, don't do this.
Yeah, yeah. No, but I think it was really important for you to explain, because it was crazy on LinkedIn. Everybody was just like, it's rescheduling tomorrow. Yes. And, it's the CSA, right, the Controlled Substance Act. It's a statute. There's a whole process that we have to go through. It doesn't happen overnight. So just wanted people to really kind of understand the process, and also why what Trump is doing can be different, because a lot of, like, in what you just explained with the DOJ, because I think a lot of people say, well, Biden kind of already did this. So what do you mean that this is clapworthy?
No.
So what are the difference between Biden and what former President Biden did and what current President Trump did? Can you explain those differences? Because that's a great question, because that's where a lot of people are like, well, what is the difference?
Right.
Again, not an attorney, but I can read. So Biden.
So many people don't. That's crazy. So many people don't.
What Biden did was HHS put forward this recommendation to the DEA that they should move cannabis to Schedule 3, which then started the administrative law justice proceedings, which is normally how you would reclassify a drug. Now, in the past, it takes 8 to 10 years to go down that road of reclassifying a drug. And that's just through hearings, through appeals. It's a whole long process. And as we saw, and I was trying to do the timeline in my head, I guess it would have been the summer of 24 when that happened, when Biden said, go ahead, here's how we're going to do it. Started the process. Took us about 6 months to get to the first hearing. And then pretty much immediately it got locked up in appeals, which is honestly working to our betterment now, because there were problems with the DEA. And again, not an attorney. I am not who you should be getting this info from. But if you're bored, this is now put the DEA on record, and there were problems. And so all that evidence from them doing the interlocutory appeal that they did back then, which tied up this whole system that really pissed a lot of people off before, is now going to help us out when it comes to what is happening with Schedule 3 and with the executive order. And so what Trump did was he signed an executive order saying, do this.
Okay.
So Biden just started down, which was also a legal pathway.
Right.
A very legal pathway to do it the way he did. And it's the traditional pathway.
Right.
It's just a much longer pathway. And a lot of people say, I don't like executive orders. I don't like executive orders either, because frankly, I like laws. So I'd much rather things go through Congress. So basically what he has said is, given a recommendation, Pam Bondi, she could be like, screw you, I'm not doing it. DA could say, F it, not happening. Just because he told him to, an executive order, doesn't mean it has to happen.
Right.
Now, the possibility of her crossing him is highly unlikely.
How about those that, Ann Milgram was the former DEA, Jersey's finest, Jersey represent, was part of that process of, potentially almost killing it under the former administration. What, other than crossing the Donald, do we have to look forward to for the individuals in leadership to actually really do the full implementation? Because that's the main worry, that we might be here another year with these ghost people and these administrations with these archaic beliefs that don't want to get out of the way of movement.
Well, again, not an attorney. Don't know what I'm talking about. However.
She does.
Can't you tell she lives in D.C.? Jesus.
So, yes, she may still have some folks, like, I know that people brought up Terrence Cole, who's now the head of the DEA. who's never been the biggest fan, but he's never totally come out against it. He said, I'm going to work on it. We're like, okay, great. That's what everyone says. I think you will still be running up against those people. The difference is when this becomes a Schedule III drug, I think then you're dealing a lot more with the FDA. And you're going to be going down a different pathway of folks that you're going to have to intermingle with. Now, RFK, that's a whole other can of worms to get into, literally, in the brain. And
he was for cannabis at one point.
Are MSOs excited about this?
You know, I think we're all pretty much in the same realm. Well, let me not say all in the same realm, because I think there are folks who are super excited, right? But I think everyone is cautiously excited because, yes, this could bring some relief, right, on the taxes portion of it. It could bring relief around like interstate commerce, which can be really great, but also has some other sides too, right, when you think about that. So I think everyone is like cautiously excited and really waiting to see what it looks like on the ground level. And Gretchen, I think to your point, right, people are not acknowledging the amount of steps that have to happen within that process. You just talked to us about, like, just on the federal level, just the initial steps to even get it actually approved. Then you had to go through the regulations, Suzanne, that you mentioned. That's just on the federal level. Don't talk about now fixing that to make sure that you're retrofitting the state regulations into whatever the federal regulations are. So there's just so much unknown that I think cautious excitement is where everyone at least should be, you know, if at all.
I feel like talking about the unknown and the mixture of the federal and state, we actually had something interesting happen here, Suzanne, right? Where they had the hemp ban, which was federal. And then in New Jersey, we took it a step further. And instead of allowing for 1 year, right? The feds gave the 1 year relief, and New Jersey was like, yeah, not tomorrow.
Pretty much.
You're gone tomorrow.
Wait a minute. They just banned hemp products.
Well, we have a current bill that it's in front of the current governor. I think it's another week and a half of his administration that could potentially sign it into law. And it's 45 days for that bill to be considered. And yes, it would currently put hemp back under the Cannabis Regulatory Commission, and we would have beverages and seltzers designated under the CRC, and they would be removed from the alcohol industry. But as we know,
so it hasn't happened yet.
Not yet.
But it was passed and signed,
right there. But it hasn't been signed by the current governor or the administration. It's in front of them for signature.
And is there indication that they're going to sign?
You know, we've been playing this dance for a year and a half now. We'll see. There's another week and a half. I mean, we successfully passed out of House and committee by both sides. I mean, we've doubled down on this issue again. So at some point, yes, this market needs to be regulated, and the CRC has been the designated body to do just that.
What does that mean? We talked last time with Jasmine about like the need to roll up within a year and how stressful that is for her right now, and you know, just thinking about what the next steps are. How does somebody roll this up in 45 days?
Right.
Like, what does that look like for that actual industry in terms of, are you going to have anyone to regulate after you come out? Is people going to survive this? Like, this might be a moot point. Is
there a hemp division and a cannabis division? Yeah. Do they have the infrastructure? What's happening?
Too, right? Like, if it's in 45 days, then has the CRC figured out, like, what, is there anything different? How are you going to look at this any differently than what you're currently doing, if you are,
That's
right?
True.
If I'm a hemp producer, is it beneficial to me that this has happened?
Right. No.
Because if the CRC is saying, all right, you can still sell your products, we're going to regulate them, instead of the federal government coming in and say, all your stuff's banned.
Oh, no, that's not what they're saying. They're saying the current products on the market are banned and have to be removed from bodegas, gas stations,
so
supermarkets.
It's not like, meet these requirements in 45 days. And
now, if those products want to be reformulated, put back in front of the CRC to go through the same licensing, regulation, and
what
testing.
Do you mean reformulated?
Meaning that some of the formulations are bogus. They are putting synthetic garbage into the community that's really hurting people. There are a lot of good ethical hemp farmers and producers that we both know and we support. But there are a lot of people doing pretty dishonorable things and putting it into the community, and people are consuming it. So right now they're going to have to go through the laboratory testing guidelines that many of the regulated market have to go through. And not to be funny, a lot of the other hemp industries, they were already doing COEs.
Right, that's a fact.
So
I
don't
that's
want
true.
to disparage a large industry, because there are so many people doing good hemp and industry work. And for those that are not doing it, it just really gives them the black eye. But no, these products will be back under the CRC in full regulation. They won't be able to be sold in the 7-Elevens. You won't be able to go into your tobacco shop and get gummies anymore, your gas stations. It's going to be in the regulated market like dispensaries. Now, beverages, they're going to be a 5 milligram threshold that they can be sold in alcohol centers.
In liquor stores?
They're for a short period of time, and then it's supposed to be removed from the market and then brought back under the CRC. But to Danielle's point, rulemaking really governs this process, and we are slow with rulemaking here. And if we don't have it, and I don't think we currently have the rules outlined, it is going to cause stress on the current market and maybe a little bit of confusion in the early exodus of these.
So are these hemp folks going to have to then become licensed?
Yes, they were going to have to do the same parity of licensing, very similar to the regulated market. And as we know, it is expensive, it is costly, it is really governed by sovereignty of municipalities, locations, and ordinance and variances. So there's going to be like a whole systemic shift in the next couple of months that it's like an all hands on deck movement, and I'm not sure that the deck is ready.
Well, and I'm going to say again, I don't hate this because I think this is what the hemp industry is going to have to realize on a federal level.
Correct.
This is coming. And frankly, I think y'all are going to be like the guinea pigs.
That's what I was going to
say. If this works.
I think so. New Jersey's always led the way in national reform, so I think this is going to be a huge test. But, as a test, but also, too, there's going to be harm to some individuals in this market. And we want to make sure that we're doing this the most accessible, transparent, equitable. Equity has to be at the forefront of what we do in New Jersey. We talk about equity, but are we really about equity here? I hope so.
Suzanne,
I really do.
I was going to ask, who's advising? As you make this transition, as you're figuring out these rules, like, what's the advisory group that helps the state figure out, like, how do you do this and do it well? Like, where are the folks from the industry who are currently helping them figure this out?
We are each other's keepers. Yeah. I mean, there's individuals like us and tons of other people that are currently operating and not operating, policy gurus. It's going to really take, to your point, Danielle, everyone to lean in and provide really thoughtful recommendations and additional business acumen. Because, again, to rebuild this system is not going to be easy. The CRC used to say very early on, they were building and flying the plane at the same time. And we are going to be back in a similar circumstances.
But wait, to your point, I was going to say all of the politicians that have licenses and call all their friends and stuff, because did somebody call you about advising? Because they didn't.
That's what I'm
nobody called me.
Like,
no one said, hey, you own a dispensary. What are you feeling on the ground? What's your experience?
As the first black woman, no, I think that's part of the disconnect.
I mean, it sounds good what we want to happen, but I just want to be clear, because you asked the question and you talked about what should be happening, but in real time, we never advised on, and it's okay if in the beginning they were flying it, but we are here now. You've been operational for many years. Why are they not calling you to ask you how to figure this out?
I don't really ask for a seat at the table. I normally just pull up. So
right.
And or just build your fucking own.
Exactly. So I've been pulling up a lot.
But to your point, Suzanne, right? When we're talking about recommendations for states, when we're talking about recommendations for regulatory bodies,
correct.
My recommendation is reach out.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You're about to make an incredibly important decision that is going to affect millions of people, not just the folks who are in the actual industry, but their families, their communities, the people who are buying. Mm-hmm. It's an incredible responsibility. You have to, and this is what we talk about in so many different, where's the data, where's the research, and where are the experts who have lived this, who can help advise you. If you're not a business expert, if you're not someone who's living this, if you're not someone who can speak to how this should actually go, how can you make a policy on it? I don't know how you feel comfortable doing things without the appropriate data.
Right. Absolutely. So I think it's going to take that collaboration that we talked about, that ongoing theme of people saying, listen, it's coming, it's here. If it gets signed into law, again, it's in front of the current administration, potentially in front of the next administration if they choose to, pass on it. But it's important for us to really strategically look at, we should be having advisory meetings, public hearings, community-led meetings. I'm already talking to my community about what does this mean for Waterford ACO? What does it mean for the current businesses here? People have put their livelihood in these industries. So we need to be very thoughtful and deliberate, and Capricious, all legal team,
ruining
and
lives.
I'm not an attorney either, but we need to be very deliberate in how we really address these issues, because people matter,
Okay,
or they
question.
should matter.
All right, pretend this does happen. Who's enforcing it?
Ooh, score. which is the new agency out of the AG's office. Shout out to the new AG, another female first, So again, a brand new agency is going to be responsible for enforcement. Under
a lot
the
of
Attorney
newness going
General's
on.
office. There's a lot of new in the new year.
So are they specific for cannabis?
Yes, this is
Okay.
specifically an agency set up for enforcement. We're not in the conceptual policy now in New Jersey. We're turning into a year of enforcement.
Well, as we talk about new, we want to bring on a woman who has brought a new brand to the market, but also her transition from actually being a patient and being a service provider of the industry and now jumping in and becoming one of us.
Yes.
We're going to be speaking with Holly DeLorenzo of Abundant Leaf Brands. Please welcome. Well, welcome, Holly. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It feels great to have a seat at the table. Yeah. Join all of you.
Love that.
Yes, we love to welcome on ladies that are in this space, doing their thing, and just really showing like our leadership, our visibility, our creativity. And we definitely want to get into that because you're coming to the market. Obviously, you have a huge background, which we need to get into, you starting as a patient, but you just introduced a brand onto the market.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's
Tell us more.
Abundant Leaf Brands. We are a cannabis wellness company. We're focused on the formulations of cannabis and bringing those formulations in different form factors. So we launched in December. We are launching here at Holistic Solutions next week. And yeah, we're really focused on the formulations of cannabis, and we're all about how do you want to feel versus how high do you want to get, and encouraging daily cannabis wellness use. So I have 3 formulas that we're launching with. The first one is Night Night. That is our sleep formula. It contains CBN and CBD, but then also magnesium and chamomile. So we took, for my formulations, I took a blend of not only cannabis, but then looked to other botanicals to really round out the experience that we're trying to achieve. And our second product is called Giddy Up. That is our sativa, and you mentioned earlier the year of the horse. So that's
Year of the
Giddy Up,
horse.
let's go. And that is our sativa. It contains ginseng, but then also dandelion root in it. And the reason why I put the dandelion root in it is because, with sativas, you can get that pang of anxiety, and that dandelion root really does calm that down. And then finally, Between the Sheets. That's our aphrodisiac one. Yeah. So the gummies have ashwagandha in it and horny goatweed. Horny goatweed, obviously, for blood flow, and the ashwagandha really opens up the heart space. And so we took those formulas and we put them into pre-rolls. Now,
My love, we're not just going to skip over horny goatweed.
Tell me a little more about the formulations here.
I tried it yesterday in a blunt, and it was Between the Sheets is a knockout.
Oh, thank you.
Terpy, tasty. That was one of the first things I told you. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, thank
Is horny
you.
goatweed a real thing?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's a
It
real,
is.
it's a real botanical. Yeah, and it does what it says it does.
It does.
It's all, there's, sorry, go ahead.
Danielle, you seem to have a lot of experience.
I am into herbs. I am an herbalist in all ways. So
Right.
So how it works is like I said, it really works on blood flow, but then heightened sensitivity as well. It's good for that. You
For the
can
male or the
actually
female?
both. Yep, and you can actually buy it on its own. Just for that, So then we blended it in
like
with
the
the cannabis.
GNC?
Yeah,
Herbal
you
store?
can. That's right. Yeah, you can.
local herbalist.
What's going on?
Just pick up Between the Sheets. But so we put that in there. But then, in order to get all of these in a pre-roll, it would have taken months of approvals to get the botanicals. So we researched the terpenes that are in those botanicals, and then put them into our proprietary terpene formula so that you still get the same effects.
Very nice.
And then we'll be moving on with these formulas. They'll be in vape products. And then so I have, let's just say, another 12 formulas that I have created over the years. But they'll all each have their own form factor too. Like Night Night, eventually we'll have an infused tea. Giddy Up is going to be turned into a sports drink. And then, maybe like a line of chocolates for Between the Sheets.
Or lubricant.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
I
I'm
was-
just saying.
I know, a nice body oil.
Yes.
Especially something that a warm up like the KY.
Right? Right?
This is flowers and tea. Like, this is flowers and tea.
I was not the first one to come up with this
Sexual
idea.
health is a big big category these days. And you know,
is very close.
Right around the
yeah,
corner.
yeah.
So there you go.
Can I tell you how I came up with this?
Yes,
So-
ma'am.
I was just thinking there's so much intentionality.
Yeah.
As you talk about it, so much love and intentionality. I'm like, tell us your inspiration.
Yeah.
Please.
So when I was creating these formulas, it was over COVID. And a lot of my friends and all were all perimenopause, menopause. So my one friend reached out and she's like, what can you do? So then I start researching the strains. And the strain names are so gross, like pink panty dropper. Like, you know what I mean? So then I had to break down pink panty dropper and like figure it out. And then another reason why we did it is because everybody was starting to fight. We were in the house together, you know. That was saving marriages. Like we were just like, you know what I mean? And you can't go out, you can't do anything. And it's like, all right, let's try this. So, but yeah, that's how it came to be. Originally, its name was Foreplay, but that was taken. There's already a cannabis product named Foreplay. So then it was Between the Sheets because growing up around here, there was a radio program that played on Star 104.5, Between the Sheets. And I was like, all right, that's people around this area will remember that. And I was really intentional with naming all of the products because I was trying to overcome making a medical claim. So when I was first getting started, it was like, all right, how do we tell them what it does without, you know, claiming that it does it? So that's where all of the names came from.
Tell us about the experience of even just really, I mean, obviously you have this thought in your head, but bringing this product to market in terms of the policies associated, because I know that could be really a challenge to navigate what that looks like when you're doing the packaging, the ideas, the names, the legal aspect of it. Can you just go over some hurdles maybe that you faced?
Absolutely. I started off, like I said, in 2021. And at the time, there was they were just writing everything with the policies. And one of the big things when it came to edibles, and I actually got to speak on this, they were writing a paper to give to the CRC about what is it that's in the policy language right now that's prohibiting you. And it was just that it was so strict at the time, and marketing and, you know, how you can advertise. And that was a big hurdle. But my journey, as these things were developing and I'm developing my formulas, it just kind of all really worked out. So I don't have a license. I'm not a license holder. I'm working with a contract manufacturer that basically I'm working under their license. I'm an employee of them. I'm badged under them. And then they make all of the products and then distribute them out. So Abundant Leaf Brands, my company, is a non-plant touching company. We're basically the sales and marketing arm of the formulas. So that's kind of how we got around. And it just basically, it really did. It really honestly lined up as, you know, all these other brands were coming to market. I think when I first got this idea and stuff, it was like, oh, we got to be the first one out to market. We got to be the first one out to market. But now looking back at it, it was like, I just let things work out. And then it was like, okay, now it's your time to get in.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that was like the main, you know what I mean? Like the main hurdle was, and it just resolved itself. Honestly, it was just like the language was so, you know, there were so many restrictions. And I think when they first came out with the gummies, they were going to limit us to 5 milligrams. And then that eventually went to 10. So,
Holly, I'm just really glad that you said that, you know, it's not always, you don't always have to be the first, because I think sometimes people get discouraged, like, oh man, you know, I was trying to be the first, and, you know.
No, my whole thing is I just want to be different. I really want to take this opportunity. You know, we all talk about like ending the stigma, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's great, but we have to have products that if we're welcoming in a whole new group into the market, we have to have products that they can, you know, they're not going to walk into a dispensary and be like, give me the highest percentage of THC.
Right.
You know, and especially like in an edible, that's leading them down a path of a bad experience, and then they'll never try it again. So when everybody's looking at this, the highest potency, and I looked this way. I was like, you know what? Everybody's in race to the bottom. What if we just expand the market? What if we just bring in new people? And then it really, you know, as we're introducing these new products, the stigma's going away because the people are finding, having a benefit to us. And it really is the way that I'm positioned. It's really about cannabis wellness. I like to have a good time. Everybody does,
That's right.
But not everybody's going to party every time,
Tell us about your journey into the cannabis space. What
Sure.
really got you back into creating products?
Yeah, so it's pretty wild, but
Yeah.
it all started with breast cancer. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017, and it just so happened that I'd seen a documentary on CBD a couple weeks before that. So I didn't care if it was illegal. Obviously, it wasn't at the time, but I was like, as soon as I was diagnosed, I was like, I'm taking CBD because the documentary was like how it affected cancer cells. So I wound up taking raw, unfiltered hemp, and from the time of my diagnosis to the time of my surgery was about 6 months. So raw, unfiltered hemp, just chomping on the plant, just like putting in the smoothie. And 5 days after my surgery, I was at my first follow-up appointment, and the surgeon was blown away. She was like, you are literally healing in half the time. And I was like, all right, well, this is what I've been taking, and I didn't want you to tell me not to, because...
Did you have any guidance?
No. It was
were
all
just like, I'm
intuition,
just going for
and
this.
nope.
All
This
right.
whole journey has just been on my intuition. I did notice that as soon as I start to listen to the noise, then I get off track. And then I really had to, that was like the big thing, like you have to trust yourself no matter what other people are trying to tell you. That's all their experience. I'm here, this is my life, this is my experience, and I get to direct it however I want. So if I don't want to believe something, I'm not going to. You know what I mean? And I don't care. I don't care if everybody does it this way and this is the way it should be done and it won't work any other way. Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Just because everybody believes it true doesn't make it true. Like this, because they all believe it,
And also, you have a different lived experience. And your lived experience gives you direct evidence of, I don't know what y'all talking about, but what I'm actually feeling, you cannot deny.
Cannot deny
right?
it.
I've had a similar experience. I recently had broken my leg, and the doctors told me that it was going to take me 6 months to heal. It's been 3 months.
Nice.
You see, I'm already walking around a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So
That's great.
cannabis was, they gave me so many drugs, and the Oxy, I think I only took it maybe once, or I took it once when I went to get my stitches removed. Outside of that, all I did was consume, literally, I was almost at like an eighth a day. Wow. I know, a lot.
Yeah. No,
but this was helping me through the pain, through my mindset, it was like layers of experience. So I love that you said that, because I feel like a lot of times, they need to see all the different kinds of medical patients, what they all look like.
Right.
Males, females, young, old, everything. So when you come with a story like that, it brings validity to it.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so I took it for 6 months. I held in half the time. And then also during 2017, I attended 4 funerals of people my own age of opioid overdoses. So where I grew up in a lower income neighborhood, and we had 600,000 residents. We had 2 pill mills, and our towns got flooded with 6 million Oxycontin. I want to say a couple years ago, I think the statistic of my graduating classes, we lost 8%. 8%.
Where are you from?
8%, Levittown, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's just like one of the things when my company grows, and like one of like my give backs is I definitely want to go back into my community, and bring this, because even the research that's coming out that they're calling it the exit drug, and it's
we
just
as
like
a medical store, we've had patients that use cannabis to detox and also help with their sobriety journey.
Yeah.
So we definitely support medical cannabis as a great alternative to opioids. So we definitely support that challenge.
It's just amazing what it does. Like to your neural pathways, and like when you're coming off of those substances, how it just calms that down, so it gives you a lane that you can actually work through. So because of all that, when I was coming out of the hospital, they won't let you leave unless you take their pain meds. I was sick the entire time, and 8 weeks I just smoked. I think I took a couple of Advil here and there. And it was a major surgery. It was like complete reconstruction. It was a 10-hour surgery. So, I mean, once that happened, I was like, I'm a believer. Like I was always a fan. I was always a fan.
All right.
But
now you're a believer.
Now I'm a believer. You know? And it was so funny because when my sister suggested it to me, I was like, oh no, I have little kids. And a really quick funny story. She came over. She was the one that brought it to me. She was in the spare bedroom unpacking because she was staying with me for the week. She unpacks it, and my daughter, who was like 3 or 4 at the time, she's like, smells like chipmunks in here. And we were like, what? We were like, what? And then we're like, oh my gosh, she means skunks. It was just we laughed so hard.
She got that good stuff.
Oh yeah, it was so funny that she just taken it out of her bag in another room. But so yeah, I was a believer. And then when I was coming back to work, I was in insurance. I worked for a very conservative 60-year-old insurance company, and Murphy was just getting in the office. His big thing was legal in the first 100 days. So I'm like, well, who's insuring cannabis? And they're like, you are. So I got to learn the whole industry, the business side of it, through the lens of risk management, like based on what was going on the West Coast and, you know, different claims and stuff that was happening. Yeah, I really got to learn it. I spoke on many panels, wrote some articles. I did a TV show about it. And then 2 days or 3 days before COVID, I was actually on a panel. We were talking about it, and then COVID hits. And then it was like, oh no. You know, we're all freaking out. Nobody can smoke because our kids are home. Nobody, and still it was 2020. So I just started making gummies. And I was like, I really did. I honestly like asked myself and asked our higher power, like, how am I purposeful? How do I help this situation? And it was gummies. And then I started making gummies and, you know, just handing them out to my friends and family. First couple batches were moldy, were melting, were this or that. And then I went on to teach myself how to make a shelf-stable gummy. And then I taught myself how to process the plant and make my own RSO. And then I was really into the terpenes. I was pulled into the terpenes because I was so into essential oils when I was going through the cancer. So then the whole entourage effect. And it was honestly in my lifetime up to that point, I had worked in 30 different companies. Just, you know, from a teenager on, nothing held my attention. Nothing pulled me in. When we were going through COVID, I had a really bad fear of the end of the world anyway, so it wasn't, the TV wasn't on in our house. Yeah. Like, I was just like, I didn't want the girls to go through that. Just whatever was going to happen, and we'll deal with it as it happens. So the whole time it was just research. And then as I'm handing out all of these gummies, everybody's recommending me for different ailments. And then I get to do all the research on that. Okay, well, what strains are helpful for this? And then how do I recreate those strains? And then it went from you know, the terpenes and doing terpene infusions to looking at other botanicals, because it was like, all right, they're all plants, they're all from the earth, they all have some benefit to us, whether it be, you know, medicinal or nourishment or, you know, whatever. If it comes from the earth, it's got to be good. So then it was like, okay, I got something here. And I was at a party with my brother and my father. They're in construction. I was like, I think this is my passion. This is my purpose. This is why I'm put on this earth. So we built a test kitchen in my basement, because at that time, my whole dining room was the processing center. That was my lab.
I was definitely about that, because you said having kids, right? So I'm like, I'm just picturing you. You said that you learned the extraction process. So I'm like imagining you with the machine and also you're just doing this in your kitchen. All the kids are like, what's going on?
Yeah. So I had my medical card. So the way that I told all of them, because I didn't want them, you know, telling anybody, if anybody asked, I'm doing, this is all CBD. This is all CBD. Mom's taking CBD. This is how, you know, because, and they were really good. I said, you know, we have to keep this to ourselves or whatever. And they understood there. At the time they were, so 2020, what is it? So 10 and 7. They were 10 and 7. Yeah. And they don't look at it like they grew up with it. It's like cat's out of the bag. We know what's going on in the basement, but they don't. They just like, it's just because they were raised up like it's alcohol, how you would treat alcohol or prescription medicine. It's just about, it was normalized. It's they know not to touch it. They know how sick they would get from it, you know. So that's basically how I overcame that, and it was helping people. And, you know, when you have somebody coming back and just been like, this is a game changer for me.
Yes.
You know, and my
Amazing
kids
feeling.
are seeing that. It's
Yeah.
like, it may be, you know, illegal, but it's the right thing to do. It's compassionate. It's helping people. And like I said before, like just because everybody believes it bad doesn't make, that's not truth.
Right.
That's just everybody's believing a
Yeah.
false truth.
Can I ask you a game changer question?
Yes.
Policy related.
Okay.
And you can say I'm not an attorney or whatever.
Okay.
So, in part of the president's recent executive order,
Mm-hmm.
he had talked about how he wants CBD products to be covered now by insurance. And with your history,
Mm-hmm.
how much of a game changer would that be for patients to be able to have their insurance cover CBD?
Yeah, absolutely. Because look at the price of all cannabis. You know, if we could have, like even the CBD. I mean, you can get tinctures, but as you guys were talking about before, it's like, where are you buying these from? What's the quality? What's really in them? Where are they manufactured, and all of that. So you know, now that that's being all you know, legalized and there's policy going into place, if it's a safe product and it's just as beneficial as the pharmaceuticals, why not? That would change lives.
Yeah.
Do you think
Absolutely.
insurance companies can handle that? Are they ready to wrap their heads around this
Well,
industry?
New Jersey does it now. New Jersey covers medical cannabis under workers' comp.
Yep.
We've been covering it for the last 4 years based on a Supreme Court case that a wonderful gentleman appealed and won. So, and a lot of people don't know that in New Jersey.
I did not know that. Yeah.
Yes, if you have a medical cannabis card, it is reimbursable and fully covered under workers' comp. So, and that's on the employers.
So that's only though if you get hurt with workers' comp?
Workers' comp. That's the only.
So if you're a
that's
regular patient, it won't cover it.
No, however, we have Cannabis Health Systems, Don Parisi and team out there doing great groundbreaking work that have gotten medicinal cannabis and cannabis covered by municipal individuals that offer Cannabis Health as a health component. So again, small, slow strides, but yes, through workers' comp and also through Cannabis, they've had municipalities tie in to do the reimbursable copay of that. So that's something new on the horizon in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Look at New Jersey.
Yeah. That,
Look
we
at us.
always learn the way.
It might be a dumpster fire getting there, but y'all got some ideas.
That's kind of the problem is that, like, you know, when you're the first to do it, you got to feel all the pain. So
Yes.
love to be innovative, but
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah.
Well, Holly, let me ask you, because, you know, we met in 2019 when I was first looking to operate Holistic Solutions. Holly's insurance company, Bet on Holistic, and gave us that policy that helped us win our winning application in 2021.
Awesome.
Now, 2026, you're operating. What does it feel like to be a woman operator in this space and leading something that, you know, you've been watching on the sideline, and now you're operating in a leadership capacity as a woman in this industry?
Yeah, I think that I'm really lucky in the sense that I know so many women in the industry, so it's been really welcoming, and I feel like I'm part of more of a family now because, you know, it is harder for us as women in this industry. It's male dominated, and that's how insurance was too. I was like the only female. I was like, you know, so I'm used to that. But because we are creating a community, and there are so many, like I'm in 7 stores right now. Yours being the 7th store. Out of the 7 stores, out of the 7 stores, they're female. 5 of them are female-owned, minority-owned, and they were all people that I came up with. They were all people that I was writing the insurance for, so I got to see their journey, and I learned a lot through all of their journeys. I definitely, I feel like that we have more support now because there are so many women in the industry, and it's not, at least for me coming in when I did, and I'm sure, you know, you guys have all been here, so it was probably harder for you. But as it being like a male-dominated industry, I should say this, though, because I was at a conference where it was just like I was the female and like the men were just walking in front of me, and like I wasn't able to speak. So I did feel that. You know what I mean? Like I did feel that. Like I didn't have a voice or anything. Yeah.
Like, which conference?
But like I'm just my brand and what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to align with the right people. And that's, you know, the majority is women because we get it. We understand it. And it's that wellness component that, you know, that we're bringing to the table table and doing so. I am very grateful and very fortunate that I am surrounded by so many, successful female owner-operators and industry professionals. So,
And that's what we've done to do. That is what we have come here to do all season, is bring ladies to the table, bring important conversations, talk about politics, policy, but most importantly, pot.
yeah.
That's why we're all here. We all love the plant, cannabis. We're all believers, and we hope that you will be too. Thank you so much for sharing your
Thank
journey.
you so much.
Right.
Thank you again.
Make sure
Thank
all
you.
of you guys out there like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Flowers and Tea.